All right, let's get right into it then. Sunday's derby at Ibrox. What can you even say? It was dreadful. Nay goals, nay intensity, nay sign of two teams who were supposed to be fighting for the title. Celtic had a golden chance to walk in there and show a Rangers side absolutely drained of confidence who runs this league. And instead, they let the moment pass them by like it didn't matter. Honestly, that game was one of the poorest old firms in recent memory. You'd think with all the build-up and the stakes, the players would come out flying. But what we got was a slow, sluggish, predictable 90 minutes with barely a single spark from either side. If that's meant to be the showcase of Scottish football, then we're in trouble. And let's not kid ourselves here. That result hurts Celtic more than it does Rangers. This was an opportunity, clear as day, to put real daylight between the two. A chance to pile the pressure on a Rangers side already on the ropes. And instead, we come away with a single point and no idea what the actual plan was. That's the most frustrating bit. The performance was so flat, so timid, that you start asking, does this team even believe in itself right now? It's no just about players being off form. That can happen. But what's happening with Celtic now runs deeper. There's no identity in the football. No direction. Just slow build-up play, sideways passing at the back, then a punt forward or a turnover. Brendan Rodgers can come out after the match and say, that's not the Celtic way. But let's be real. This is exactly what Celtic have looked like for months now. January onwards, it's been the same stale stuff. This wasn't some one-off. This was the latest chapter in a long, worrying pattern. Now, if we're talking lineups, you had Casper in goals, back four of Ralston, Carter-Vickers, Scales and Tierney. Midfield was Engels, McGregor and Hatate. Up top, it was Benji Negrin wide right, Analisha making his debut on the left, and Dyson Maeda through the middle. And look, maybe on paper it doesn't sound terrible, but in practice, that front three looked like they'd never met each other. And the midfield, well, let's get into that. The midfield was absolutely shocking. Engels had a massive opportunity to step up and make a name for himself, and he was nowhere. Hatate, usually one of the more creative sparks, looked completely lost. And McGregor, you know things are dire when even Callum McGregor is switching off in the dying minutes. That bizarre moment near full-time when he just stops running? Totally out of character, but it tells a story. Negrin, bless him, is getting hung out to dry at this point. He is not a winger. He doesn't have the pace, doesn't have the one-on-one threat, and yet Rodgers keeps shoving him out wide because clearly he's lost trust in other options. But that's not the player's fault. Negrin's got something about him. We've seen glimpses, but playing him out of position like that? That's just poor management. And on Sunday, he was absolutely miles off it. Can't sugarcoat it. He was dreadful, as were many of them. Try and find a positive, you say? Well, the Guinness was decent after the game. But seriously, maybe the clean sheet? That's one goal conceded in 7 games. That's something, at least. Defensively, Celtic have been all right. Scales actually might have been the best of the bunch, which says it all really. Balatisha got his debut as well. Didn't do much, but wasn't terrible. Played safe, didn't make mistakes, showed a bit of composure in a chaotic system. So clean sheet, debut ticked off. That's about the only positives you can stretch from that. But let's go back to the engine room, because that's where this team is falling to bits. The midfield, the one area everyone thought was sorted, has become a glaring weakness. Going into the season, you'd have thought Celtic had enough depth there to run 2 different midfields. And yet here we are, watching the same names get absolutely overrun week after week. There's no cohesion, no pressing, no creativity, and worst of all, no urgency. There was one moment in the second half that sums up where things are at. Scales has the ball, looking for an option, and what does he see? Hatate, McGregor and Engels, all standing basically in the same area of the pitch, offering nothing. Who's he supposed to pass to? He either forces it and gives it away, or turns and goes backwards. That's not good football. That's not Celtic. And this is why fans are so frustrated. It's not just that we're drawing games or dropping points. It's the manner of it. There's no tempo, no plan, no signs of anyone trying to break the lines or get on the front foot. And when we do get into the final third, it's slow, it's safe, and it lets the opposition reset every time. Here's the most damning stat of the day. Rangers, in their first 10 matches this season, averaged over 16 shots against per game. Celtic didn't have one shot on or off target in the entire first half. 5 in the second half, total expected goals of 0.17. That's borderline unacceptable, especially against a side as shaky as Rangers have been. There's no sugarcoating that. It's poor, and everyone involved knows it. So what now? Wait for the international break. Hope it magically resets the season? Hope that a couple new signings turn the whole thing around? Truth is, that's not how it works. You don't fix identity and belief with 1 or 2 transfers. You fix it by changing the way you play. You fix it by injecting hunger back into the squad. You fix it by showing up in games like this with intensity and a bit of fire in your belly. Rodgers needs to take some ownership here. He's not new to the job anymore. This is his squad now, or at least it should be. But the truth is, Celtic look like a team caught in limbo, stuck between the past and the future, still relying on the same core group of players that have been around for years, and maybe, just maybe, that group has hit its ceiling. There's a staleness around the squad that's hard to ignore. Guys like Maeda, Hatate, Carter Vickers, they've been brilliant servants, but are they still evolving? Are they still pushing forward? Or are they just carrying the load because nobody else has stepped up? When the same names are asked to dig deep year after year, at some point the well runs dry. And that's really where we're at, isn't it? You look at this Celtic side and it feels like a group that's been running on fumes. Brendan Rodgers is still putting his faith in the same players he's relied on before, but how long can that really last? There comes a point when loyalty starts to look like stubbornness, and that's what's creeping in now. Because right now, this team's crying out for change, and it's not just about formations or tactics. It's a deeper issue. Something in the spirit of the squad feels off. You can tell just by the way they carry themselves on the park. There's no swagger, no spark, and more worryingly, no belief. That second half lift that usually comes from Celtic when the backs are against the wall, nowhere to be seen. You'd expect some kind of push in a derby, some intensity, some grit. But Sunday felt like watching a friendly, as if it didn't matter whether they won or not. And that is unforgivable in a game like this. Brendan Rodgers needs to shake this team awake, and fast. Because this isn't just about results. It's about the way Celtic are being perceived right now. The fans know what a Celtic team should look like. They've seen Ange Postecoglou's sides play with tempo, courage, high press, vertical runs. Even if the odd game went wrong, at least you could see an identity. What do we have now? A team that keeps the ball for the sake of it, with no real idea of what to do with it. There's nothing incisive about Celtic at the moment. It's all just flat. And it's not like there aren't players available. You've got young lads at the club like Dane Murray and Colby Donovan who are desperate for a chance. They've got quality. They've got the ability to split a line with a pass, something we're sorely lacking right now. Instead, we're watching the same core guys plod through another 90 minutes, looking knackered, looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. You want to talk about shaking things up? Start with giving some of the hungry young boys a proper go. Then there's the mystery that is Paulo Bernardo. Came in, had a few decent touches early doors, then vanished completely. Why? What's going on there? You bring a player in on loan. You'd think the plan would be to integrate him, right? But here we are, weeks into the season, and he's basically been written out of the script already. Same goes for GSP. No idea what the plan is. It just feels disorganized, like there's no vision or clear path for anyone outside the usual names. And let's not forget, we're still waiting on signings. Or maybe I should say still hoping for signings. Because what we've seen so far this window hasn't exactly been inspiring. The club have been slow, reactive, and in some cases, just downright baffling with their decisions. There's names being linked, Dolberg, Takti, Riki, but none of it fills you with confidence. And even if those deals happen, are they really going to come in and light a fire under this team? That's the concern. It all feels like too little, too late. Dolberg's the big one everyone's watching, and fair enough. He's got a pedigree, played at Ajax, been around big clubs, knows what it's like to play under pressure. But even he's no guarantee. You can't just drop one striker into a team lacking in service, confidence, and creativity and expect miracles. The problem is deeper than personnel. It's structural. It's psychological. This team doesn't look like it believes in what it's doing. And if you don't believe in the plan, it doesn't matter who you put up front. They'll drown like the rest. Rodgers needs to be brave now. He needs to move away from the comfort blanket of the old guard and inject some freshness, even if it means taking risks. We saw under Ange what happens when you trust new players, when you give guys like Hatate or O'Reilly or Maeda their chance. They responded because they felt trusted. This current crop? They don't look trusted. They look like they're carrying the weight of the past 2 years on their backs, and it's dragging them down. Tierney is another one we need to talk about. He was such a fan favorite in his first spell. The energy, the overlaps, the sheer commitment. He was everything Celtic stood for. But now, you can see it. He's playing within himself. He's hesitant, holding back on the sprints, pulling out of challenges. And it's not because he doesn't care. Far from it. It's because, deep down, he's terrified of breaking down again. You can't blame him, but that hesitation is costing the team. If Tierney's not able to play at 100%, then tough decisions need to be made. Sentiment can't get in the way when the margins are this tight. It all comes back to the same issue. There's no edge to this team right now. No killer instinct. No urgency. No aggression. The kind of aggression you need in derbies. The kind of aggression Celtic used to bring every single week, regardless of who they were facing. That's what's missing. And if Brendan Rodgers doesn't find a way to put it back, it's going to be a long, slow, painful season. And you know what? The worst part is, they'll probably still win the league. Rangers are in a mess too, let's be honest. Celtic might limp over the line. But is that really the standard now? Just doing enough to scrape by? Where's the ambition? Where's the hunger? It feels like we're stuck in a holding pattern, just counting down the days until the next manager comes in. And that's a dangerous place to be for a club like Celtic. Because fans don't come to Celtic Park to watch safe football. They come to see their team dominate, to entertain, to play with passion and purpose. And right now, they're being served a style of play that's borderline joyless. This isn't just about trophies, it's about identity. And if Celtic lose that, they lose everything. The next few weeks will be telling. There's an international break now, which on one hand gives the squad a breather, a chance to reset. But let's not pretend everything will magically be fine after 2 weeks off. The problems are too deep for that. If anything, this break is a test for Rodgers. Can he use this time to strip things back, refocus, and come out swinging against Kilmarnock? Or is it going to be more of the same? Safe lineups, slow football, another draw we try to convince ourselves isn't that bad? That's why these next signings, if they happen, matter so much. They need to lift the group, not just technically, but mentally. They need to walk into the changing room and raise the level. That's what Celtic used to do well. You'd sign a Van Dijk or a Wanyama, and straight away you'd feel the standard shift. Right now, every transfer feels like a gamble. No statement signings. No one that makes the dressing room sit up and take notice. And that's a problem. We've needed freshness all summer. Not just new faces, but new energy. You can feel the fatigue in the squad. Not physical, mental. Guys like Hatate, Maeda, McGregor, they've been running themselves into the ground for years now. It's not sustainable. And the young guys coming through aren't getting the platform to contribute. So it's the same players, same minutes, same results. That cycle has to break. And maybe it's unfair to put all this on Rodgers. The recruitment teams clearly struggled. The board's been slow. There's a real sense that the summer was wasted, that the momentum of the past 2 years has fizzled out. But Rodgers is the manager. He's the one picking the teams, setting the tone, and leading the group. And right now, he looks like a man searching for answers just as much as the fans are. It's a weird place to be in, this early in the season. Not in crisis. Not in freefall. Just drifting. That's the word. Drifting through games, drifting through the transfer window, drifting through press conferences. There's no urgency, no spark. And unless something changes, really changes, we'll be sitting here in March or April wondering where the year went. And maybe that's the saddest part. Because Celtic are better than this. The fans deserve better than this. The badge demands better than this. And the players, deep down, probably want to give better than this. But right now, it's all going through the motions. So here we are, deadline day, and everything's still up in the air. Will Dolberg sign? Will Takti arrive? Will there be some last-minute deal to save the window? Maybe. Maybe not. But even if they do arrive, even if they pull off 3 deals in the final hours, the bigger question remains. Is there a vision? Is there a plan? Or are we just plugging holes in a ship that's already taking on water? Because if there is a plan, it needs to show itself fast. No more patience. No more benefit of the doubt. It's time to get serious. Time to play with intensity. Time to act like Celtic again. Or this won't just be a disappointing start, it'll be a wasted season. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel, and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The noise around Glasgow football circles has reached a fever pitch in the last 24 hours, with whispers growing louder that Ryan Kent, the winger once adored by the Rangers faithful, has sensationally sealed a move to Celtic. According to those closest to the situation, the paperwork is already signed, the medicals discreetly completed, and only an official announcement stands between speculation and reality. What makes the story so explosive is not merely that Kent has agreed to join a major Scottish club, but that he has chosen the green and white side of the city, the eternal rival of the team where he carved his name into the domestic scene. This sort of defection has always carried with it more than a simple footballing edge. It digs deep into the emotional core of Scotland's most passionate derby. Celtic Park is preparing itself for the arrival of a figure once booed from its stands, and the reaction is sure to be fierce. Those in the boardroom seem delighted at what they consider a coup, while among supporters the mood is a volatile blend of disbelief, curiosity, and the sense that the upcoming season has already gained a storyline that will dominate back pages for months. If there was ever a transfer designed to stoke flames before a ball is even kicked, this is surely the one. Ryan Kent, known for his explosive pace, tricky dribbling, and flashes of brilliance in European nights, had always been seen as a figure destined for challenges abroad. Yet the latest murmurs insist that rather than testing himself in a new country, he has decided to remain in Scotland but switch allegiance. Such a decision does not come without enormous risk. For Celtic, there is the tantalizing prospect of acquiring a player who knows the league inside out, understands the intensity of old firm derbies, and brings with him the scars and lessons of countless battles at Ibrox. For Kent, there is the prospect of becoming public enemy number one among the support that once adored him, while facing skepticism from his new fans who will demand immediate proof of loyalty and commitment. Football history has seen bold moves like this before, but rarely with this level of symbolism attached, and already the debate rages on talk shows, pubs, and social media feeds. Is Kent brave, foolish, or simply pragmatic? Inside the Celtic camp, insiders whisper that manager and recruitment staff view Kent not just as a reinforcement, but as a statement of intent. The club's pursuit of dominance has always involved clever acquisitions, but rarely have they sought to unsettle their rivals by bringing in one of their most recognizable figures. Supporters who once mocked Kent's inconsistency now find themselves revisiting his highlight reels, discussing how his ability to unlock defenses and carry the ball at speed might fit into Celtic's tactical setup. The attacking line, already brimming with energy, could gain an extra dimension with Kent drifting in from the left, cutting inside onto his right foot, and linking up with midfield orchestrators. Yet questions remain about whether his mentality will withstand the scrutiny. A move of this magnitude is not merely about what happens on the pitch, but about how a player handles the ferocious spotlight. The club hierarchy, however, are said to be convinced. Sources insist the financial terms were favorable, that the deal represents both footballing value and psychological warfare in one package, and that Kent himself showed eagerness to embrace the challenge, claiming that new chapters require bold decisions. Among the Celtic support, the reaction has been anything but uniform. Some fans, pragmatic in their outlook, see the signing as a masterstroke that weakens Rangers while strengthening Celtic in one swoop. They argue that talent has no permanent allegiance, and that what matters most is how a player performs when wearing the shirt. Others, however, remain deeply skeptical, questioning whether a figure so closely tied to Ibrox can ever truly win over the Parkhead faithful. For many, football is as much about symbolism as it is about goals and assists, and they wonder whether Kent, no matter how electric his runs down the flank, will ever be fully embraced. This tension creates a fascinating subplot as the season approaches. Every touch he makes, every chance he creates, every mistake he commits will be magnified tenfold, interpreted through the prism of this extraordinary move. The atmosphere in the first Old Firm clash is now guaranteed to be even more charged, with Kent certain to find himself at the center of the storm, cheered by some, jeered by many, and scrutinized by all. Beyond the tribal noise, Neutral observers note that this transfer has the potential to redefine the narrative of Scottish football for the coming campaign. Rarely has a single-player move carried such symbolic weight, but rarely, too, has there been such intrigue around how it will play out. The Scottish Premiership has often been accused of predictability, yet this development injects a dose of drama that few could have foreseen. Analysts predict that Kent's arrival could tilt the balance in certain high-stakes matches, providing Celtic with fresh dynamism on the wings and unsettling Rangers both on the field and psychologically. Whether he thrives or falters, the story will dominate headlines. If he scores the winner in a derby, he could etch himself into Celtic folklore overnight. If he struggles, he may become a figure caught between two worlds, never fully accepted on either side. What is certain is that Scottish football has gained a storyline that extends beyond tactics and results, reaching into identity, rivalry, and the emotional intensity that defines the sport in Glasgow. Ryan Kent, once a hero at Ibrox, now steps into Parkhead as the protagonist of a tale no one saw coming. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.